that is Earth 984, and to the west it's 1897. So that is it's okay from the lower half extension. Next up is the contextual analysis, where we've in-depth analyzed the existing land use patterns, existing zoning patterns, to give us a general feel of what the site is capable of, as well as its existing arterial feeder routes, which is the Zam, Kiloga, and minor pinpoint. The site is approximately 1.8 hectares, which is roughly 18,000 squares. So we'll go into the confines of that site. Next up, we did a thorough site analysis of the particular site to give us a general overview of the physical, biophysical, and cultural attributes of this site. Just to summarize them briefly, we've gone physical attributes, nice flat topography, existing structures like the community hall and water park facilities, railway station. Biophysical, you'll see the site is also home to some indigenous trees, small and large, existing railway tracks, large open spaces, available for topographies. Cultural aspects, as many of you maybe don't know, but the property is actually zoned educational zone one, which is reserved for educational facilities, but it also has use rights for community uses. That's why it's used by the community as a community facility. So in identifying and approaching stuff, we have to go up the bucket with some sort of concept. We want to guide the potential developers come to Bitou approach in the SEM process. So in order to do that, we have identified certain strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and constraints that will be our developmental themes. So just in summary, our developmental themes that we've highlighted is we are looking at an integrated business model, this design consideration, asset yourself, and developing government for alternative ideas, reducing environment, integrating with public transport, etc. So, and the second theme that is a center of fitness and well-being. This is a mixture of different medical, health associated sports systems integrated into an environment that can also link with the site. Here you will have a strong use or land use that a strong focus on community hall, as well as health associated uses. The last development theme that we've also approached is the pet buggy, which is basically a family-oriented business, small-scale business, boutique, academic operated. So that's where we want to attract the family and use it associated with family entertainment. But on the last concept and the last slideshow here, you'll see just the concept evaluation. This is the theme that we are going to enter into in the bid specification. This is where we're going to be in more detail like this study is required. So there you can see the re-evaluation. Bear in mind, it's just a concept. So our buildings and spaces can be used to integrate, make the area more attractive to the surrounding environment. Strong setback lines, open spaces, walkable, low light, landscaping features, all can be incorporated into our design. The ultimate goal and objective is to create the next landmark for Bitou, but a facility that the community can be proud of, a facility that's inclusive, and also built on and providing opportunities that can cater for Bitou municipality itself. That's just a brief summary, and I'll communicate. I've done also in detailed report of this slideshow, which I have communicated with the municipal manager, and he can distribute it amongst the councillors. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Any questions? Councillors? Any questions to Mr. Marius about the presentation? From Bill?
Thank you, Speaker. Speaker, I don't have any questions.
But I do want to say that I think this is deserving of our support. I think further development, further investigation is really required. I think it would also be helpful if the public is involved, public participation is encouraged. I think it is truly something which can be an asset to Bitou municipality.
Thank you very much. Councillor Kapaye?
I've seen the ERF there. Which ERF is that? Where is it situated?
Next 7 is the site which basically the Plettenberg Bay the site's located on. So it's there where the water park includes the water park, the community facility or the town hall, balance that railway station, small scale railway station. That's basically the site.
Any further question? Thank you very much, Mr. Marius, for the presentation. We are moving to item number 8, which is items for information, which has been dealt with by the executive mayor in terms of delegated authority.
So the items for information, which was dealt with by the executive mayor in terms of a delegated authority at the meetings held on 24 July 2024, 23 August 2024, and 2 2024, respectively, starting on page 39, 14, 41, 42. And that concludes the items for information.
Item 7.
I propose that we note the items dealt with by the executive mayor in terms of executive authority.
I second that. Thank you. Item number 10 is consideration of reports, non-delegated matters.
Vice.
Aye. Oh, sorry. Thank you, Councillor Tablanche. We are in item number 9, noting of outstanding implemented council resolutions.
We're starting on page 9. Sorry, apologies, page 44, page 45, 46, 47, and that concludes the items outstanding.
Item is 7. Councillor Swart?
Thank you, Speaker. Speaker, I propose we note the outstanding resolutions. I'm glad to see it's been tidied up as well.
Yeah. Councillor Ompia?
I'll second.
Yeah. And we are in item number 10, consideration of reports.
Starting with section 1, Office of the Municipal Manager. Item C/1/259/10/24. Report from the Audit and Performance Audit Committee, page 52. For further information, the chairperson of the Audit Committee, Mrs. Shaw, will present the report in person, Madam Speaker.
Thank you very much.
It's maybe good for me to present this change because it's become more interactive. So maybe not going to exactly do as such as read. So I'm just going to highlight maybe a few things. I'd like us to start by saying, that the meetings are well attended. The directors are committed. They bring me reports. So we find meetings are very constructive, and we do see that there's feedback and responses to our inputs. What we do not see, however, is feedback from council, because a lot of our recommendations come to council. Obviously, it's nice to see, and when we go to these workshops, how effective are audit committees. It's good to see how council responds to our recommendations. Don't extend, obviously, implementation of them all. Some idea of what is the response of council to our recommendations, because obviously we follow the team and we're here to work with the officials to come with the best Bitou municipality for the residents and also to attract tourists. So you know, obviously political stability, like I just want to echo what the mayor was saying earlier, political and administrative stability is key for us to succeed as a municipality. So just to close out my report, speak the community on the first page. I just want to highlight, obviously, we already know the financial period. We've already finished the first quarter. And so this report pertains to the previous financial year, which is already under audit. I do believe the audit is going well. So the officials have responded. It's just done with financial controls. The high risk area was highlighted of municipality. I think we are just going to echo what is just being reminded of these. Major water losses, the electricity losses, unspent capital grants, patients with potentially and excessive overtime payouts. The CFO has reported that you know that we are a going concern across the environment in general. However, it's not sufficient to sustain operations in the long term. It's most important that all parties play their role to enhance the cash flow position, savings and austerity measures, as well as the stringent application of the cost containment policy. These policies and measures have really been well considered, and I think it requires the objectives. Although a lot of the CFO reports are, but this is reporting record. It's the other regulators who also work together. We can't work in silos. So we want to just implement the cost containment policies and the outflow funder. And if there's timelines, we are in these certain goals. I think it's important that we have time frames within. In other words, open-ended, and we can't measure ourselves whether we are effective in implementing these measures or not. Recommendations from the Apex side is obviously outstanding debt. We did recommend that there's a significant outstanding staff debt. We've seen improvements, but we recommended that we also utilize bonuses from the staff, also the overtime payments. Overtime payments, as we all know, is significant. Sometimes makes up 50% of some of the members' income. So, you know, when we discuss the affordability of repaying the staff debt, we could also consider utilizing the overtime payments and the bonuses. If the policy does not accommodate that right now, then perhaps we should consider incorporating that in the policy when it comes up to the renewal. Public fine revenue that has not been managed very well, and it has resulted in significant loss of income to the municipality. So, and that highlighted an area which we have out as a weakness is that we do not wait until a contract comes. We do know when a service provider is appointed, we do know when that contract will come to an end. It's important that we do know the turnaround time. We do know how long it takes to get through all the bid committees, how long it takes to present to prepare the specifications. So for us to have a lapse of a contract without another contractor already in place is just poor management. It's inexcusable, and we do not see consequence management for those individuals who are not proactive to get those contracts in place timely. And with the traffic revenue, we have seen the hurt from an income revenue sacrificed in that period. So it's very important that we tighten up on that. As I said, we do know who's responsible, and if these contracts are not in place, it's excusable if there are problems with appointing a new contractor. then, but we cannot always default to deviations. That's exactly what the Auditor General looks like, and we don't want to see that, and it can be avoided if the officials are proactive. And then we're looking at cost containment measures, amongst others, by reducing the reliance on consultants, ensuring skills transfer. We should not have the need for consultants to appoint the right people, qualified people in the right positions. And we're not talking about expertise that we need from time to time. We can understand that there we need consultants like we actually period to assist us with issue management. Day-to-day operations, we should ensure that we appoint the correct people so that they can do the job without having to rely on consultants. Reducing overtime, the overtime by implementing the overtime reduction strategy, which is available. But we are not applying that. We are not sticking to the minimum conditions of employment, where the 40 hours is the maximum that a person can work overtime. And we don't seem to get a grip on the overtime. And that is a huge burden on the municipality to have to entertain this massive overtime bill. And we recommended that it becomes a KPI for the directors to remain within the overtime budgets on an annual basis. We can't have, during the interim budget, we now move money from one centre to another to accommodate excessive overtime. The expansion preparation financial statements, unfortunately, the ball was also dropped. A very good asset preparation plan was prepared, but unfortunately, a few officials did not come to the party and stick to the plan, and that created about 3 towards the end. A service provider was approached to assist with just a review before the audit committee could do their review before the 31st of August. And at the time, if we'd stuck to the audit asset preparation plan, we'd given that contractor a consultant time frame, and by the time they came on board, we were nowhere ready for them. So once again, you have to hold officials accountable. If you timetable, something domino effect. If one official does not come to the party as to the compliance, then unfortunately everybody else suffers. So I do believe that consultant was unfortunately that worked with us before. So they were accommodating, and we were able to utilize their services, and we could see that when we came to review the annual statements that there was excellent quality of annual statements. We had an unqualified audit report last year. I hope that we're going to see a repetition of that, and I'm not sure with the instability we've had, in the political administration spheres this past year, whether we can achieve that. It unfortunately always has negative impact on the outcomes of the financial statements. But let's be positive. Internal audit functions well within the municipality, a strong internal audit team, and they give us excellent reports. They stick to their plan. We've also encouraged the Auditor General to make more use of their reports, and that could result in cost savings. We've encouraged the last meeting of the Auditor General that the CAE has a meeting with and see if we can overlap and the audit work. Hence, we can have some cost savings. The one area where we find there's frustrations is the management area. We kind of feel to have these quarterly internal audit exercises in the management systems area, and we have the same reports at the end of every quarter as a repetition of the same. And I think there the major concern is incomplete portfolios of evidence. And that is also what the Auditor General will look at. So if we don't prepare those on a quarterly basis, there's going to be problems at the end of the year when we have the Auditor General on board, and they're looking for those POEs to substantiate claims displayed by other people. So that's the one area. Also, the controls. In SCOA, I do believe that we are going to work on that in the current year. Our target is the end of June. The Audit Committee recommended that we make our target rather the end of April, because that gives us 2 months to iron out any issues, because we know when we set our target, there are often hiccups, which we did not foresee. That's good to hear ourselves at the time that's our budget. Our timelines to ensure that we can iron out those last hiccups. Obviously, that's going to also be something that we'll be focusing on in the future, that we are SCOA compliant. Purchase and wasteful expenditure, irregular, unauthorized. Unfortunately, in the last year, we haven't had a very effective impact. And the disciplinary board had not, obviously as a result thereof, had not sat often enough, or I don't think in the last few months have at all. We want to encourage that impact meetings form part of the municipal calendar. And we'll have to it's more often to clear the backlog. We've got a significant, and Bitou is not unique in this area. We hear the Audit General every year make a report to government about the outcome of these, and these expenses just accumulate and accumulate and accumulate. The longer we wait, the more difficult it is to get the supporting information and where these expenses are being investigated. So our recommendation is that the impact has separate meetings. On a monthly basis, they look at the current issues, if there are any, and then assess those, because it's easy to assess the current issues, the documentations that can be available. And then we start chipping away at the block, the old block, and see, because I mean, if we want to have consequence management and we want to see that we be serious about people, and authorized expenditure is my point, but irregular expenditure can be avoided in most instances if we just follow due process. If we follow the right plan to management controls space, we need not have irregular expenditure. So those to be investigated. And if nobody's responsible, then we need to implement controls to make sure that those are avoided and minimized. If just a waste of expenditure, once again, it comes down to most often bad planning. So we'd like to see that the impact sits regularly, incorporated in the calendar, and the disciplinary board is being visualized to investigate issues where necessary. Engineering services, the fleet management needs to be improved. That has come out. We've had some incidents in the fleet where obviously it leads to lack of controls. So and I think there's no management control. So if we say something has to be done, something you have to sign when you use a car, we need to have people accountable. If the car is damaged, there has to be an official that's accountable, but we don't even know always who's using that car. So we have to have controls and we have to have managerial oversight to make sure that the registers are signed, because you know that we manage. We know the controls; they should be there, but if we're not implementing them effectively, what's the point of the controls? So the fleet policy needs review. So we looked at the policies, and there are a lot of policies that's long outstanding, and policies should be reviewed at least on a 5-year cycle, if not less. Because there are legislative changes which we have to incorporate, and just within the environment, we need to incorporate the latest relevant issues within our municipality. So it's important that those policies are reviewed, and that we also incorporate any shortcomings that we have that come out of the internal audit reports in our policies. Airport maintenance, unfortunately, that came to our attention in the last quarter of last year. And I think that needs to be attended to, because obviously it could affect it I know there's a lot of business people who love the lifestyle at the coast, but they still want to work in Johannesburg. And for those kind of individuals, places like Plettenberg, who have the airport, and Municipal Bay and George are very attractive, and we want to attract those people because they bring business to the area. So I think it's crucial that we get this airport issue resolved and get the commercial flights flying regularly again. We do recommend that from a CAPEX point of view, and let's go to the next page. Risk management has come a long way. There's still always room for improvement, but we've got our one audit committee member, Mr. Hennessy, and he chairs the risk committee. And I think they're very dynamic, and we see improvements at every meeting. There's obviously room for growth, but that's come a long way. So you see significant improvement in that area. I just want to also just touch on the CAPEX, which was only in my previous report, which I not support. From CAPEX, we've also recommended that we do not wait until the next year. We don't wait until the 1st of July before we start looking at the contracts we want to implement this year. We need to start in the last quarter of the previous year. So we always see spending at the end of December is so slow. we know which contracts we are going to be targeting in the next financial period. So by the end of June, the specs should be ready. We could really be proactive. So we can see a lot more CapEx spending in the first quarter and the second quarter. So that's something we've encouraged vigorously, that the officials get all their ducks in a row and work on those quality specifications and get the efforts and everything ready. So that we can start actually spending on CapEx, because there's always a risk that we cannot get over applications. So that's something we have to look at. And then just something that we touched on the policies just now. I think it's also important, and the mayor did in her talk just mention our environmental issues. And we do feel that it should be underlying in all our policies that we consider environmental issues. That has to come from the local municipalities to consider, that when we have businesses, that we do consider the environmental impact and long-term sustainability of our resources when we try those policies. I think that's in conclusions. And I want to thank the officials once again for their valuable contributions and the constructive way in which our meetings are conducted. They're well attended. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you. The item is serving councillors. Councillor Swart.
Thank you, Speaker. But now Ms. Shaw is going to be able to save me a lot of work. And at the risk of repeating what Ms. Shaw said, I've made a couple of notes. And I'm having a concern with a lot of these reports where we're having to take note of reports, because we take note of reports, but nothing seems to happen a lot of the time. If we go back to previous reports and audit committee reports that we've had, many of the same issues come up. So the first item that I'd looked at was the water losses. I'm going to go back to my motion in March this year that is still unanswered, a quick way to reduce some of the water losses. And we just don't seem to be seriously looking at this, because we're coming to the end of another financial and another report where we're going to have water losses as an issue again. Electricity losses the same, although there have been some improvements. But what remains a concern, and is the last item that Ms. Shaw spoke about as well, is the risk of unspent capital grants, going back to the planning of our tenders, and we're not planning them before the financial year starts. As we've spoken about before, it's not the first time this has been raised. We've spoken about it before, but it doesn't happen. The only one that did happen for was when we procured the compactor trucks. That was at least done early, and we could get those trucks early in the new financial year, last year for 2023. Something else that is mentioned as well is the preparation of the annual financial statements, where again, staff did not comply with the procedures and the policies and just actually get it done. That's raised as well. We also have the functioning of the disciplinary board, which Ms. Shaw mentioned, that is seriously not happening. And when we do have things going to the disciplinary board, it takes forever to get something done. We need to speed up those processes because it's affecting our operation ability as well. There's comments around engineering services and controls that on page 57, risk management that Mr. Hennessy mentioned on page 58. And I just want to read the one line there. It says, internal audit reported that management mitigation action plans are either overdue, progressing at a slow pace, or have not yet been implemented as at the 30th of June. So again, it speaks to inactivity and lack of actually getting things done. Then, and as I said, it's all good and well that we look at this and we talk about it and we note the report. So if we can go to the recommendation, please. I'd like to go with that recommendation, but I want to add a second recommendation to that, that the management takes note of comments and recommendations in the report and reports back to this council at the end of February, at the February council meeting next year, with their plans and what has been done or plans to correct what has been done. And then also that where relevant, certain items get included in managers' KPIs that they can be measured. I'd like that added as a second recommendation, please. And with that recommendation, I'll propose the two recommendations of. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Papai.
Thanks, Speaker. Thank you very much for the report. Now, where I'm sitting, whatever that you are entailing here, we have to have corrective measures. And you don't have powers as an audit committee. You rely on us as council. That is why you are here reporting to us. My point of contention is that made mention of policies. Hey, I have a problem about policies of this council. Others are outdated. Sometimes we don't know who has crafted those policies. You'll find out that they are only sent to us. And you know, councillors sometimes don't like to read. They just say, let it go through. Are you able, as an audit committee, to be able to assist in crafting policies that are going to be assisting in terms of corrective measures? You see, for instance, as an audit committee, you are not allowed to force an employee. You must ask an employee to give information. If that employee is not giving you information, you are not allowed to do that, to force. So I think as council, you must assist us in crafting, assisting officials in crafting these policies that are really going to be the ones that are saying, you have not done A, B, C, D, and yet policies are in front of you that are saying, don't do the A, B, and C. So then therefore we'll be able to deal with this challenge. Otherwise, you will come to this council now and again, and will note what you are saying. As the recommendation is saying that the council takes note. We don't want that. We must discuss and say, the audit committee came up with these recommendations. What are our policies saying when an official doesn't do its own work? You see, we've got a challenge now. We're going to lose money in terms of grants. There are projects that are not going to be finished. So that means who's to be blamed? Is it us as councillors? No. You will be shocked how much money are we paying officials in this municipality. Others are over 2 million. Others are close to 2 million. Yet we are a very small municipality. And yet these things are happening. People are lax. They don't come to work on time. If I was earning 2 million, I'm telling you, I'll be here at 6:30. But you don't see that here. Officials are lax, and yet as council, I can put it again, they dump big agendas with small fonts where the gist is, because they think that we don't read. Other councillors read in this council. So I'm trying to say, please, council again, allow the audit committee to assist us in crafting these policies that are going to really stop the trend that is happening. We're talking about water losses. Who's wasting water? We must be able to have devices and techniques of saying that particular area is wasting water, and we zoom straight to that particular area. We have people who are not paying electricity. We're stealing electricity even today. But as officials can't detect which house has not paid electricity for a couple of years. So we've got those challenges that we need to go back and correct. Otherwise, as this council, we don't want to be a failed council. We want to be an effective council. You've read the statement of the executive mayor here about the blue drop status. I think Bitou municipality has been winning. We are like islands, Honolulu and stuff like that. We must really, there's a journalist here, must write about those things that were the best. That is why we're the best. So we need the internal audit committee, even before it goes out to auditors, external auditors, telling us that we're on the red here, then it must come to council. I think we must allow you, whenever you are seeing something on the red, it must just come straight to council so that we can correct that. Because at the end of the day, it's not the mayor, it's not the municipal manager when we regress in terms of audit findings. It's all of us failing. So I think your work is good, and we must really assist you in terms of moving forward. Thank you very much, Speaker.
Thank you, Councillor Kabaya. One Pierre?
Speaker, I want to second. I also want to add a further proposal. I think the situation that we had this morning was eye-opening to many people, including people. And I think it has opened the eyes of a lot of councillors. Problem that we have of continuously just noting, I think I support Councillor Kapaya's discussion about just.
Hey, you almost something enough.
Councillor Kapaya, let's not take a noise again, please. Let's check the decorum today. So what I want to propose is that at least quarterly, we have a presentation like today, in-person presentation to council with particular focus on the shortcomings and the measures being implemented as far as the consequence is concerned. In addition to that, I think there was comment made this morning, and I think it was made by particularly the lady that presented to us a very nice presentation, that there are shortcomings as far as the KPIs are concerned of managers. And I want to attach that to the lack of proper implementation of performance management system. We are still not in a position where we have drove down the performance management system to the lowest levels in the municipality. We still do not have contracts for every person that is employed by this municipality, and we still do not have job descriptions that align the different departments with one another. And these KPIs should be written in such a fashion that the internal communication is forced. And those things can be done. And it is particularly important that we do make a job of that as soon as practically possible. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. Mayor?
Thank you, Madam Speaker, in the presence that this item has been already seconded. But I would love just to bring something, since we've afforded an opportunity to say something in front of this council with the leading administrators. One of the other things that the mayor came reporting from the SALGA findings regarding one of the things that APEC has zoomed into in this audit findings is that when it comes to disciplinary board, you'll find that matters of discipline, they took so much up to a point we lose time on, to a point that some of the things cannot be concluded because we've already used matters. And one of those findings that were pinpointed at SALGA is that managers and the directors, they don't want to act on behalf of whatever delinquencies that are happening at work or whatever things. Every people, they find themselves being conflicted in such a way that they don't want to lead, to a point that every municipality must depend from other chairpersons, from other municipalities, to a point things are being
taken so much time to be afforded, to a point of we felt that another recommendation that needs to be added there. In every manager's JD, let's also include the thing that's saying that you are also supposed to lead, to be the chairpersons of the disciplinary issues that are coming forth. Instead, that we find that all managers, they don't want to play that part of it disciplinary. Up to this point that we're relying to people that are outside, externally so. So we were also concerned about those things. Disciplinary things are left like that, and it opened the advantage of this municipality in some of the cases. So we are here to say these things we've picked up, and it's unfortunate that it's a cry on of all the municipalities here in the Garden Route, even in the Western Cape, that we as the staff that are highly paid, as Councillor Kapa said, but we find ourselves not willing to do some of the things with the capacity that people were hired for. So I want to say it clear, state it clear in this council that we are also taking note of that, where we find EE managers or senior staff, when we say, can you be the chairperson of this? Immediately they say, no, I can't. We can't find people that they can say, no, they don't want to be part of a discipline, whereas they are the most ones that most of the people are counting under them. So in that, I would say every manager or senior manager needs to be put in the JD of them that they must be able to lead the disciplinary processes of the council. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Sorry, Speaker, I had to attend to the ladies, but I wanted to utilize this opportunity to say thank you to all the chair for presenting a report and for the diligently serving our municipality. I know that your tenure has come to an end, but we really want to thank you and let you know that we appreciate your commitment that you have shown in your oversight role and in advising council in order to strengthen our role to do effective governance. It is very much appreciated, and we wish you all the best. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And can we ask you to remain seated for the next 2 items that are following? Thank you. We are moving now.
Item C/1/260/10/24, advertisement for the appointment of 2 ordinary audit and performance audit committee members, page 62.
Item 7. Councillor Olivier.
With the recommendation of the executive.
Thank you. Executive Deputy Mayor.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I'll also second, as we are governed by legislation of the council, since that we need to do a rotation.
Thank you.
Item C/1/261/10/24, the appointment of APAC member for a second term of 3 years, page 67.
Item 7. Deputy Executive Mayor.
Again, Madam Speaker, that as we can see, our recommendation of the Executive Mayor, that the council approves the appointment of Mr. M. Bruce, as I'm saying that all the things that we're doing, it's legislated, so it's still her turn to finish. So with her, so that she can say, he can serve for the 3rd time. So I'm saying we go with that recommendation that he remains being an ordinary member of our audit and audit committee, performance audit committee.
I will second that, Madam Speaker.
Mr. Mangaba.
Thank you, Speaker, and good morning, everyone. You'll pardon me, I'm having a bit of slowdown this morning, but I will percolate as the time actually permits. Do you mind just moving into the previous recommendations, just so we can actually fix the grammar? The previous recommendations, because I think this item is actually off the table now. But I'm assisting so that when we read minutes, they're reflecting in actually a grammatically correct approach. So. Okay, the recommendations reads that council approves, is it? Yes, the advertisement to invite suitably qualified persons to submit its curriculum vitae when it's single. When it's plural, it's curricula vitae.
Yeah.
So it's
Yeah.
curricula, you remove the it's an A there, space, your vitae will be VITAE. The rest of it is correct. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, Councillor Mangaba.
Remind you, pronunciation is not vitae, but it's vitae. That
is now I'm actually correcting the grammar on what we need to say the regulation.
You are starting it. Don't start it.
Thank you very much, Councillor Mangaba, for.
Thank you, Mr. Manhaba.
Moving now to the next item.
What an Englishman.
We're moving to section 2, finance, item C/2/223/08/24, cost containment report for the quarter ending 30 June 2024, page 98.
And the item is 7.
Madam Speaker, there are 2 cost containment reports. I propose that we deal with this first report. And we will get to the second one in a further item further down. So that I propose that we note this report and that we can discuss the final report which we have later on the item.
You know, the report.
Moving to the next item.
Item C/2/224/08/24, report on the implementation of the supply chain management policy to the council for the 2023-24 financial year, page 101.
Item is 7. Executive Deputy Mayor.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Coming to the reporting of supply chain, we picked up some challenges that were outlined there at page maybe 108. There were challenges and there were, in the report, you can pick up things of how the functioning of S&M units is functioning. There were a lot of things that we've picked up. And those things were more showing that you'll find the administration blaming this SCM unit that officially is a supporting unit to what we're supposed to do as the administration. Whilst us as politicians, we're still waiting to see things are happening. But you'll find that SCM will be blaming the administrators that they didn't do their part of the project management, be it specifications, everything else. On the other side, you find the administration blaming that there are challenges, that, for instance, some of the staff doesn't know where it is. And this leads us to understand that there's no cooperation amongst the units. And I think also there was someone who quoted that we seem to be working in silos. To a point that of working in silos, it makes us to drop the ball. And again, part of those things is because we are only focusing to the directors when it comes to KPIs and performance. We've been speaking about this performance assessment thingy that we're supposed to cascade it down even to the lower of the lowest kind of the worker, of the administrator. But sometimes we haven't yet come to that point. Therefore, when it comes to this thing of supply chain and then report, it takes us a clear picture that really there is a blame game that we normally find that is happening. And most of the time, if its specification committee is being fed by the project managers that are more in the middle level, Then you find the other one in the higher structure, they've got somebody to blame. Then it starts everything to collapse. So I therefore wanted us to add a recommendation that says we need to cascade the performance management system to all the staff. And we need to ensure that these things are incorporated in our JDs. And another thing that is picked up, that not all people have got JDs and contracts in this municipality. That is one of the other things that we'll want to see as politicians, that every employee has got its JD, its contract, and in that JDs, we need to include the performance management system. Because on the other side, it's senior staff, they are being unified with KPIs, their bonuses are not getting S2. But on the other side, all the other employees, they are in check that they feel they are being entitled to too. And in the midst of that 13th check, they don't care anything because Kaloko at the end of the day, but when they get their salaries, no focuses them. So I'm here proposing that let's add that in every JD, let there be a performance system that at some stage we'll come and discuss how do we cascade it down. But let's ensure that it's happening in municipal management.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, I disagree or differ with the executive mayor. The only challenge is that this SCM report, if we put that matter here, get lost. The SCM report is specific in terms of report. However, I will ask council that it's the Tanya put as a note, not as a recommendation. I can share with council that we've already lost the clean audit status exactly because of this matter that has been raised of cascading performance management down. So we are aware, and it's a matter that we'll be addressing. I had a meeting with the director of corporate services last week, Thursday. So it can be captured here because the reporting on supply chain is a very prescribed reporting. We are aware. Thanks, Madam Speaker.
Madam Speaker, I want to second, but before I second, I want just to remind us that we are again dealing with two different reports, are the same in essence. The report that we've dealt with now is for the previous financial year. And we are going to deal with a similar report, which is just for the first quarter of the new financial year. So this is going to be duplicated again. So I think we just bear that in mind. I will second it for now. But I think the same as has been presented here by the Deputy Mayor will happen at the first quarter report as well. For us to note that. With that, I second, Madam Speaker.
Thank you.
3/2/234/10/24 requests for arrear debt write-off as the customer requests, page 117.
Item 7.
Madam Speaker, I want to support the arrear debt write-off for this institution. However, I want to make sure that we understand every time we are saying that where we do this type of thing, and we can't avoid it, we say that we are going to install prepaid meters. What I want to know is, are these prepaid meters actually being installed? And I think we need report backs on those. There have been a couple of write-offs similar to this for similar institutions, schools and welfare institutions in the past few council meetings. And in each one of those instances, the recommendation was that a prepaid meter be installed. Can I ask that we get a report back on those? Thank you.
Councillor Mangaba.
Thank you, Speaker. In as much as I want to concur with my colleague over there, I just need to correct him. It's smart meters. I think when you say prepaid, we are already creating an idea that there'll be prepaid meters that are actually. In essence, the reason why we want to actually add them to have smart meters is that the debt is as a result of the not monitored use of water. So now we want to enable them to actually manage their use of water. And again, part of the recommendations that I'm actually, I feel strongly in support of is the fact that going forward, they need to enter into an agreement what's this? Agreement of actually payments from month to month, or else we'll be sitting with the situation again next year this time where we need to actually write off the very same debt from the very same people whom this we could have taken as a educational moment to empower them to best manage their use of water. With that being said, I support the recommendation.
Madam,
Okay.
thank you, Madam Speaker. I want to thank my counterpart, sorry.
I was before.
Sorry, Speaker, she said that she was.
Okay, I already recognize you, Bill. You can.
Thank you, Speaker. So I think it was a constructive engagement and I accept what he's saying. But at this point, it now brings up one of the issues which I'm deeply concerned about. We keep on talking about smart meters. At this stage, Madam Speaker, and I want to say this loud and clear that everybody understands, those smart meters are actually dumb meters. They cannot do anything at this point. We do not have the software that integrates with those meters. We do not have the capacity to scan those meters. And for as long as we do not have that, and I've been saying this at various council meetings, those meters are just a further expense. They cannot be utilized to do the job that they are supposed to be done. So I'm asking that at this point, as part of the recommendations here, that we get proper feedback on where we are with integration of make these meters smart. Otherwise, it's just an additional expense and a waste of time. And this has been ongoing. These requests have been ongoing for the past year or more. And we keep on talking about and relying on smart meters, but in the meantime, until these meters cannot integrate into our systems, they are stupid. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Councillor Olivier?
Don't take offense. Don't take offense.
Speaker, now I'm listening to what my colleagues, I'm in agreement. I just want to know from my side that are we putting an extra recommendation? Have we been requesting for an extra recommendation? If not, then I would like to request that we put an extra recommendation in there saying that we should get all the information of smart meters being put in before and to find out, does it make a difference? Now, because I'm speaking, you're not a speaker anymore. Speaker, I'm trying to put my head around this because we're talking about smart meters all the time, but nothing is coming to council to show us that there's been a difference by using the smart meters, if it's added value. So I would like to see a recommendation going into that request.
Thank you. Councillor Mangaba?
Thank you, Speaker. Just for guidance yet again, I mean, this is a learning opportunity for all of us. I understand that Councillor Bill is making mention of the issues that we had with the smart meters previously. However, I don't think he was well aware that we had received a note or a notice rather that they are functioning. They are just on open mode, meaning you are able to read. However, the software aspect is what now prohibits the municipality from actually reading from the offices. Apart from that, it's on open mode and you are able to actually read the usage of water where that is concerned. Moreover, the other recommendation that is actually mentioned by my lovely councillor right there cannot be contained on this item. However, it is something that should be noted because we have given such recommendations before. There's been items of a similar nature. Perhaps it will be really prudent of us to actually sit and actually have a report and look into it and delve into it and see whether or not is it bearing the difference. If not, we forge a way forward. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Blanche?
Yeah, thank you, Madam Speaker. I just wanted the recommendation is fine like this. It's just for information towards the officials that I present going forward, because this thing is It's actually not protecting you after your debt has been written off. Because the meter runs, it gives you even sometimes you put it in today, it gives you a problem next week, and then it's free flow. So it won't protect you to say you don't have debt next year. So on the official side, we must bring something to council to say where we have written off debt, specifically around this holiday homes, etc. If we get a separate item speaking toward these meters in terms of the software. But the recommendations it is now, it's quite good, it's clear. And we are supporting this one. So it's just a separate thing that we must bring back to have a look at the smart meters. Thank you.
Councillor Papai.
Speaker, I think we are still missing or we are not doing it correctly. And I don't think the municipality has got data in all these homes that are keeping or educating children who are abandoned. Because what happens there is that those kids are kept safe, fed, taken to school, and yet as a municipality, we don't have data of those places. Because those places are the ones that are key in keeping this town beautiful. Now, what will happen is that every time Masizame will come and say, I've got it, can't pay it. You see, because those people depend on donors. Those people use their monies, take their pocket monies and feed those kids. They use electricity, they use water and ablution facilities and waste removal for that matter. I'm suggesting that the municipality must have data for those. They must be really taken care of in terms of rebates, or if it is a household to be given an indigent, but on top of that, monitor the use of water. Because we will find out that the challenge is the use of water. That is why they end up getting those high bills. And yet as a municipality, an official sitting in an office sees a home that is not paying, and they are going to disconnect electricity. In their eyes, they don't even know that is a home that is keeping abandoned children. I think also officials must have data that is going to be sent to council most of the time, so as to look at how are they doing fine, and so on and so forth. I think we must take care of those places because they are really playing a very significant role in our town. Thank you very much, Speaker.
Thank you. Deputy Mayor.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I would just say here, we're not against in the treatment of the rebating. We're just saying that whatever we do, we need to be responsible. And I think what my councillor Nell was saying, he was saying it is a norm that things are coming to the council. Last time we were rebating for the churches. Preachers were rebating, everybody were rebating. But at the end, we always say, we wish that people must continue with the responsibility of monthly. So that at the end of the day, whatever that is happening, at least people becomes responsible. And part of becoming responsible, it's when at least we know we've got a control in those things. And that's why it was coming from that the proposal of the third item, that let's get a report from our administrators that we did go after a rebate took place. We went and installed as per what the resolution was there. And after we've installed is this, because we always say they must do this, but we are not putting in timelines and making sure that we do make sure that the promises that we make here, they are being taken care of. It was just coming from that clean intention that whatever we agreed here, let us make sure that is being carried by the officials. Because they will promise, even if we can ask, did we go back to the churches that were given rebates here a month ago or two? Maybe it has not yet started. Did we go back to the Christians with we ever had? Ask, maybe it's never started. Did we go back? We always recommend, we give, but at the end of the day, what is our responsibility to ensure so that we can make sure that those people, they can see they afford or they don't afford. So I'm just saying here, we are putting this in our clean intention that let after Tina as politician agreed on something, let other one else kick in and do their job. So that we get a report at the end of the day that we are a responsible council here. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Madam Mayor.
And that's what we failed to do. Our administrators, they don't follow
Thank you,
the
Speaker.
recommendations. You, sir.
Yes, I think.
Yeah, I think we must move.
I believe the municipal manager is here, directors are here, and also the portfolio chairs are here to note that we need a report on matters regarding these smart meters or meters, as also Councillor Swartz have raised the motion that is submitted in March, which I believe it's partly implemented. It's a matter of giving the report. So instead of, let's move forward, Speaker, on this item.
Thank you. Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Speaker. Speaker, I wanted to support the extra recommendation and also add on to what Councillor Hereby mentioned in terms of our policy. I know we did in the last financial year, really look at our policy in terms of the welfare organizations. But maybe if we bring that report, we can just do for us just to revisit it again, relook at it again, you know, and in terms of going out and educating these type of organizations also as to the rebates and the measures that we've put in place in this council to actually help them. That's just, it doesn't have to be part of the recommendations, but I would actually advise that when we submit that report, focusing specifically on the welfare organizations that we add and look at the policy. I'm not sure if the item has been seconded, but I would like to second the item.
It was proposed by Councillor Leon and seconded by. Yes.
Thank you very much.
Speaker, just two things. Councillor Manhava, I think before I say anything, I was supposed to say what is the right word in English. But just on one issue, or that I want to confirm, issue number 2. When they come and then we agree that this amount is going to be taken to council for consideration for control. We then sign an agreement at finance that I can confirm. So we put this recommendation and tell them that going forward, you know. So, but I take note of the report that some with regard to, was there 2 things dealing with here. One, we are dealing with the fact that we must get an agreement with them that going forward, they're not going to be behind. But also the second part is that what is the municipality doing to ensure that they don't fall behind, which is the current system. And we're gonna provide that report. Speaker, thanks.
Thank you very much. We are moving to the next item.
Please, 5/13, annual tabling of list of exemptions, reductions and rebates according to the Municipal Property Rights Act, 15(3)A and B, page 122.
Item 7. Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Thank you, Speaker. Mine was just to put emphasis on trying to look page 124. If you look at the first column, I picked up this actually when I had my public meeting. We are now currently busy with looking at our property evaluation, and we had to do the public engagement with the community as to, you know, why we are actually doing this. And then I realized that many people in our community, they don't actually realize that they are exempted The council actually contributes, by exempting them from paying their property tax if the value of the property is below 350,000 rand. So even if we look at this item now, there is the revenue listed there that we as a council forgo, or that we as a council actually contributes to our community. And I just want to acknowledge that as a council, we have really looked at some of our policies. We are actually implementing the indigent policy very well. The only challenge is that many of our community members, they don't actually come forward to actually claim these benefits. So if you look at it, it's over 3 million rand, 3,415,000 that we've actually contributed towards our local communities. And I totally believe that if you look at the stats, the latest stats, that actually tells us that there's a 62.5%. I was quite shocked when I read this, that 62.5% of our population is actually living in the poverty line, which means the income in that household is 1,227 rand. So if you look at that statistics from the last audit, you can call it an audit. And if you look at our indigent register, clearly there's a disalignment. And then you can also see that when you look at the household debt, where the challenge is. So I just wanted to put emphasis on that, Speaker, and propose the report.
Thank you, Councillor Swart.
Thank you, Speaker. I'll second that.
Thank you very much. Moving to the next item.
C/2/237/10/24 report on unauthorized expenditure for Q1 ending 30 September 2024, page 125.
Item 7, Pompeo.
Madam Speaker, I propose that we note the item with great concern. There's nothing much we can do about it. Just to propose that we note the item.
Councillor Renuncia.
Seconded.
Thank you. Moving to the next item.
No, Speaker, I just want to explain that Councillor Nelby been incorrect. Recommendation number 2 is actually saying that is referred to impact. So just want you to understand.
I'm waiting for
Yeah. It's, the MM is quite right there, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. Moving to the next item.
C/2/238/10/24. Environment report for the first quarter ended 30 September 2024, page 129.
Item 7. Executive Deputy Mayor.
Thank you, Speaker. I would say that the terminology environment, it always raises a worry, because it is where we can see that monies are being changed from this vote to that one, fiddling of budget or whatever. And that clearly shows that sometimes the planning was not well done. It's a proof of that first thing, that the planning was not well done. But that doesn't say that we can never do environment when a disaster or emergency strikes. Sometimes it becomes a concern when you find that environment is being caused by the thing that was supposed to be planned and budgeted for. On that note, again, I'm saying, Madam Speaker, I wish our administrators can take note of that. It's not a nice thing to see environment, because it is all of the thing that surfaces that the planning is lacking once we start to have environment. And when we look at that item, you'll find that it's not more of the emergency that some of the things were there, but because of the lack of planning. But in that note, Speaker, I do say let's take notes and the cognizance that have been considered. I go with the recommendation.
Thank you. Pompeo.
I'll second it, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. Moving to the next item.
C/2/239/10/24 cost containment report for the quarter ending 30 September 2024, page 5.
Thank you very much. For the sake of the public to also understand this, can the CFO please give us a brief introduction to the item? Item 7. CFO?
Speaker, yes, so the cost containment report is the quarterly report in terms of the council policy and also the cost containment regulations. On certain items that was identified in the regulations as well as council policy, cost savings if possible. So if one considers this report, you must also consider it's early in the year and many of those items only pick up in expenditure as the year progresses. So what we do, unfortunately, the only way we can do it currently is just to take a quarter of the year as a guide and say what we have spent in terms of those budget items that we have not spent as that quarter would then be regarded as savings. But as I said, it will most probably change as the year progresses. But in the end, obviously, when one goes to the fourth quarter, then you compare the total spending over the year, then really can you see what you realize as spendings in terms of those items.
Thank you very much. CFO, on bill.
Madam Speaker, thank you, CFO, for the explanation. I think it's important that we keep our thumb on it. With that, I would propose that we take note of it and continue further.
Thank you. Councillor Olivier, seconded. Moving to the next item.
C/2/240/10/24 list of withdrawals from municipal bank account for the quarter ended 30 September 2024, page 138.
Item 7, on bill.
Madam Speaker, these are standard withdrawals normally paid to the provincial departments. I propose that we note the item.
Thank you. Councillor Olivier, seconded. Moving to the next item.
C/2/241/0/10/24 report on the implementation of the supply chain management policy for the first quarter 1 July to 30 September 2024, page 144.
Item 7, on bill.
Madam Speaker, this is the item that I referred to earlier, which we have dealt with at length. What's on the annual, the last financial term. This is for the first quarter. With that, I propose that we apply the same thought processes and note this item and follow the recommendation. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. Second. Thank you, Councillor Olivier.
C/2/242/10/24. Section 52D report for the quarter ended September 2024, page 185.
Item 7. Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Speaker. Speaker, allow me to give an overview of the Section 52 report. If the administration can kindly, is it flighted already? So, for the sake of the public, the Section 52D report is a key tool for municipal transparency and accountability. And the purpose of it is to inform council about the implementation of the approved budget. You'll see a lot of similarities between the Section 71 and the Section 52D, but the Section 52D it includes the top layer. So, it is presented to council quarterly, and it allows us as a council to monitor the financial health, to assess whether the spending of our approved budget align with our priorities or objectives, and to ensure that our service delivery objectives are met. So it also helps us to make informed decisions and adjustments as needed to improve our financial management and service delivery. So this report serving here now is the Section 52 report for the first quarter, the quarter ending on 30th of September 2024. It includes important update on our financial position. If we can look at page 186. It indicates that our current ratio is 1:55, and it falls below the best benchmark practices, which is 2:3. So this current ratio indicates that, we have some liquidity to cover our short-term obligations. However, it is not an ideal range for our financial resilience. So we need to look at that ratio closer to the benchmark and try and improve it so that it can improve our capacity to handle unforeseen expenses and to support sustainable service delivery. On page 188, if we can go to page 188, I think I must slow down a bit because I'm really very, very fast. Page 188 of the report. As highlighted previously, this one gives us, a summary on our debt collection rate, which stands at 84% for the quarter ending. And also to note, as we discussed previously, household debt represents 95.6% of our total debt. And I want to put emphasis on what councillors have discussed in our portfolio meetings, in our MACO meetings. We as a council discuss various strategies. We adopt policies to improve our revenue enhancement and our collection rate to support our residents that are in financial difficulties. And we strongly encourage that we implement these strategies actively and that the administration take note of all the proposals that come out of our portfolios and from the councillors. And I also urge the residents to make use of the advantages of the available assistance that we give in terms of our policies, and to those residents that can afford to pay the municipal account, to do so responsibly. Speaker, then of course, something of huge concern on page 202, once again, it highlights, it reveals to us our capital expenditure, very concerning, represents only 3% of the year-to-date budget. And this underperformance is particularly evident in allocations for our informal settlement grants and some of our internal sources of funding, as well as in our human settlement grant. I want to appeal to officials. Accelerating capital expenditure in these areas are crucial, as delays in spending directly impact our communities. As council, ward councillors, we go out and do public participation. We inform our communities on our budget priorities and our timeframes. And these type of things, it really affects us on the ground. So I expect a concerted effort to ensure that allocated funds are used effectively and in a timely manner. That we should prioritize these projects, because it enhances the living conditions and it promotes community development. Speaker, if you look at what I've just said now, we can just look at NHC. And NHC it represents to us our top layer service delivery and budget implementation for the first quarter. This spotlight key areas where our targets are not being met. This report underscores the link between underperformance in our capital expenditure and missed targets, specifically pointing out critical indicators such as TL7, TL43, TL46, and others marked in red. Speaker, if you look at those indicators, it directly can show us why there is an underperformance in our capital expenditure. And we need to improve on those so that we can execute our priority projects. I hope that, we will identify the performance gaps. And we, as the administration, a council, expect administration to fast track on this delivery and address the critical issues, because we always get the excuse that in the first quarter, there is a low meeting percentage in meeting our targets. And when we normally ask about this or inquire, we are always being told it's linked to supply chain processes and issues. But that excuse, Speaker, is no longer good enough. Because once again, as a council, we sit with a very critical situation that we might risk losing some of our grant money, and we cannot afford that. And I was quite shocked, Speaker, when I had a conversation with Councillor Muhlana regarding the electrification project in Ward 3. But when I looked at these targets and I look at the spending, I understood why. And I want our officials not to take this lightly. You know, it affects our community on the ground. We are here to ensure effective service delivery, and we expect everything to be done to see an improvement when the next Section 52D report submitted to Council. Amen. I'm hoping for an improvement in these areas. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Deputy Executive Mayor.
I would say that, Madam Speaker, that let me commend my Lady Mayor for giving us such, a profound analysis when it comes to our finances and the status quo, that what of things that are happening. And it becomes a concern very much. That will always speak here, but we don't want to zoom directly into things. And it is much of, I wish as the administrators and you, as we're bringing up these things, one of the other things that we're lacking in this municipality, consequence management. And one of the things that we're lacking is to always to stick to the advice and the recommendations that were done by UMPEC. Today, it might sound as if the work of UMPEC was not done well, because everything in consequence management, we take it very light. At the end of the day, people are being cheated by means of that we are keeping your officials, that they take us for granted. They take our communities for granted. Gone is the stage where we have to sit here and all the time we say, this is not being done, this is not being done. But people are being measured in performance, and they are money, they are being high paid, as I'm alluding to what Councillor Tapa was saying. But every time things are just going down, and the people are sitting there, they are waiting for their services. Others are coughing your rates and services, your rates and payments so diligently to this municipality. But somewhere down the line, we've got your officials that are compromising this whole thing. Whereas we are one of the municipalities that we are so consistent into payments of salaries. There was not even once ever since in the past 10 years that we can record that this municipality lacked to make the monies of the people to get into their bank accounts. It is unfair. It is very much unfair. This is one of the municipalities that is so consistent and delivering and making no one to get anything less than what is happening. And everything that goes here, it's about officials. I'm begging and saying, this is not a nice report every time it's things about this. I thank you.
Thank you very much. Actually, the accounting officer is here with his administrators. They hear all what is said about the frustration of the councillors, because it is them who must go and account to the communities when the work is not done. So please, want a better report than these ones. It is frustrating when we see that the grant funding money is not going to be spent because of the administrators who are not doing their work, and all the blame will come to the councillors. Thank you. Let us move to the next item.
Section 3 Corporate Services. 3/3/228/09/24. Information Communication Technology Quarterly Activity Report, 4th quarter 2024, April through June 2024, page 260.
And the item is 7.
Madam Speaker,
Thank you.
I propose that we go with the recommendation.
Thank you. Councillor Mangaba.
Thank you, Speaker. While the item is a report that is actually for noting, I would like to believe that an ICT report is not a report that we usually receive here. Now, it would make sense and it would actually add value that when new reports are actually presented in council, that we actually have an official that actually takes us through. Because I can tell you now it's very long and it has figures and graphs that, because we do not want to sound illiterate, we will say go with the recommendations. Whereas really, if you look at the report in itself, it's very long and it is long-winded. Like as you are trying to follow it, you lose the context. So I think it would do us good, as our slogan is being the best together. For us to own these reports, we need officials when they come to council to actually take us through, and especially newer reports, because we've never really sat with an ICT report before on this council. However, like I said, it's for noting, and I second the noting of the report.
Thank you very much. MM.
Just a clarity, must we have the person, because in the section 80 committee, this was raised, the report, to be honest, is technical in terms of language as well. So should we rather have the IT manager presenting in the section 80 committee? Because I don't know in terms of, so maybe the time might be sufficient. But if council wants the full council, we can also look at that. That's just that clarity, but I take note of what the councillors are saying.
Because even in portfolio level, FMA, it was not even broken down. It was not even discussed in length. So in all honesty, we come here and we sit amongst councillors who are confident that in our portfolios, we actually delve into the item, that they're comfortable voting with us. But in actual sense, we don't know what's going on with the item. So I think it will actually make sense for us to be taken through, even if it's a portfolio level.
Director, want to add something?
Oh, no, Chair. I think I agree that what it's. I think we must just take note. One of the issues that we experienced this month, that we had a security breach. We must applaud the city team that they quickly identified it and it was contained. And if you look at the report, you will see that there's a survey and a constant campaign of security threat and the steps that you can follow, how you identify it. And you will see that the majority of the employees actually participate in that survey. And most of them, about 54% to 60%, they are aware of the steps that they must take to prevent. They are even aware how to identify the security breaches and how to report. So that's why even this was identified quickly and it was contained quickly because of one of the employees alerted ICT team and it was immediately actioned. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Councillor Kapai.
Speaker, is it allowed for a councillor to wear colours of his or her political party? I can come here and wear yellow and be a yellow man here in this council.
They are not branded. They cannot.
And then Councillor Kapai.
No, it's fine.
Also wearing yellow and black.
That you're colorblind. Point of order, Speaker, you are colorblind. This is mustard.
That is yellow and black.
This is mustard.
If it's next council meeting or special, I will come and weigh in
Also wearing
from
green, but it is not branded.
bottom.
I'm also wearing AUF green, but it's not
I
branded.
know you will be intimidated.
That is brown.
I think you should work it up. You should stop like.
I'm coming back, I'll be back.
You wear that, I'm not gonna be on virtual.
And when the deputy mayor is all the hair is orange, you don't say anything. That.
Let me keep quiet.
Let's move to the next item. C/3/246/10/24, schedule of meetings for councillors 2025 for portfolio committees. Mayor.
Item is confirmed.
Madam Speaker, I propose to go with the recommendation.
Councillor Mangaba.
Seconded, Speaker, with a special note that MPEC meetings must also be included in this schedule. Beyond that, yes, the second recommendation.
Thank you very much. Moving to the next item.
Item C/3/249/10/24, appointment of a councillor to serve on the vacant councillor positions, in brackets, strategic services and office of the municipal manager and Salga provincial cluster work with page 3.
Item 7. Councillor Olivier.
Powers, councillor De Brave.
Councillor Renshia.
I second the proposal.
Councillor Abayi.
She won't go back to you guys. She's with us. I second. One of us.
She's one of me. That's where I come from.
So that means you are coming with us. No, you are going to come and join this part.
Thank you very much. Moving to the next section.
We have an addendum, Madam Chair, for corporate service, addendum 1, item C/3/250/10/24, determination. Please don't say it. Determination of upper limits of salary allowances and benefits for members of municipal councils 2023-2024. That is under addendum 1.
Speaker. Speaker.
The item is serving now, so.
I do not think it's even morally correct that we must sit here and table this matter. We are all conflicted. I suggest all councillors in this place must recuse themselves.
Because we all have an interest.
All of it. Go with the recommendation, Speaker.
Thank you. Councillor Seti.
Aye.
Councillor Seti.
Extra recommendation, Speaker. Let's zoom into the recommendation quickly. Recommendation, please. Speaker, with your indulgence, could I ask that we add an additional point on the recommendations?
I know.
That the accounting office.
Yes, be
mandated, send an instruction.
Yes.
To payroll. To be actioned by end of this day. Since concurrence.
Councillor Swart.
Thank you, Speaker. Speaker, this is a difficult one, and it's something that I mentioned in the district where, normally you don't recommend your own increase. And unfortunately, councillors are in the position where they need to recommend their own increases. And it was a discussion that came up in the district as well as to whether we should accept it or not. But then you need to bear in mind that not everyone's circumstances are the same. The increases given don't usually even keep remotely track with inflation. And often councillors are using money out of their own pockets to helping their communities. So by councillors accepting this and proposing this increase for themselves, they actually are helping to contribute in their communities as well. And as I say, all councillors' situations are different financially. Some need it, some people don't, and then it's up to councillors how they use it. So I just wanted to note that as an extra note, it's been proposed. If it hasn't been seconded, I will second it.
Councillor Sethi, I think you were gonna.
But I just wanted to make that comment. We need to also bear in mind that we cannot implement this until the MEC has given his condemnation.
Oh.
So we approve it now. MEC local government still has to agree, and only then can be implemented. So we need to just bear that in mind, that we don't put ourselves into trouble as having received payments that are not authorized and approved. Thank you, Speaker.
And the in?
We can afford, there's no doubt. I think it's only unfortunately an issue of compliance that we must submit it to him. Basically, executive mayor, I have no doubt, and I have no problem of taking the risk of paying the money. But it's just an issue again that, it must go to the MEC, but we can afford, as you can see from the tables, we've actually anticipated an increase which is going to be more than this. And unfortunately, councillors are always looked at as last, the increase is lesser than what we budgeted for. So the budget is still a saving for us.
Thank you very much. Proposed by Councillor Mangaba, seconded by Councillor Sethi. We are moving on.
Section 4, Community Service, C/4/212/08/24. Report on Institute for Municipal Public Safety on Southern Africa, in brackets IMSA, mini conference May 2024 at Mbombela, June 2024, page 306.
Item 7. Councillor Klana.
We will note the report, Speaker.
Thank you, Councillor Blanche. Thank you. Moving to the next item.
C/4/217/08/24. Fire and Rescue Services, 24-hour service implementation, page 367.
Item 7. Councillor Swart.
Speaker, I propose we go through the recommendation.
Thank you, Councillor Blanche.
Second, Speaker.
Moving to the next item.
C/4/220/09/24, Community Fire Safety Bylaw, page 372.
Item 7. Councillor Olivier.
For the recommendations.
Councillor Swart.
Seconded, Speaker.
Yeah. Moving to the next item.
C/4/227/10/24, bylaw relating to trading of liquor by licensed establishments, page 439.
Item 7. Councillor Mhlana.
Speaker, I just want to find out, maybe from the acting director, do we have a stakeholder engagement or forum when it comes to establishments that are trading liquor? The question, I think the acting director must answer the question.
Thank you very much.
It's still busy. Director.
That's it, Office Fine,
We do not have stakeholders forum. That's the item on the outlets. And we do have SAPS, slots, and also some members of the public that are also in every car and service that has to be the census. It's not a forum that is.
Samsana,
Yeah, I'm raising this, Chair, because we know this used to fall under subs, which now is under municipalities, and we would love to see a proper engagement, in particular when it comes to this, the bylaw formulation of bylaws, so that communities or these establishments are taken through these bylaws. But tomorrow we don't find ourselves who approve something here and that kills the business establishments out there. So thanks.
thank you. Councillor Olivier?
Speaker, this spent transmitted bill I was talking about, I think it's supported by recommendation 3. If I understand him correctly. That's how we'll second. Did you support the recommendation?
Yes, I support the recommendations, but I think there must be engagements because our people don't necessarily, you can put the draft bylaw at the library. They don't even go and read to it. So we need to organize them.
Different public participation.
Yes.
Recommendation, I agree. Supports our second.
Thank you.
Take notice.
Executive Mayor?
I wanted to be in support of what Councillor Mhlana is saying. I also sometimes invite officials to my ward committees and to public meetings. But as we all know, not all the communities are even interested in public meetings, or if you speak in a public meeting, you sort of speak over their head. They don't really understand, but it's part.
Thank you very much. Moving to the next item.
Section 5, Engineering Services, C/5/160/08/24, Capital Projects Implementation Plan, Monthly Progress Report for the period ending July 2024, page 452.
Item is 7.
With the recommendation.
Chair.
Councillor Swart?
Thank you, Speaker. Speaker, I will second it, but I think we must take particular note of recommendation 2. That reports should not come to the Portfolio Committee with information that's not completed, but we will at least catch up on that next item as well. Thank you.
Allow me to comment on it in the next item, but it's a similar one.
Yeah.
Okay. Moving to the next item.
C/5/161/09/24, Capital Projects Implementation Plan, Monthly Progress Report for period ending August 2024, page 457.
Item is 7.
Thank you, Speaker. With the risk of sounding like a broken record, Speaker, we are met with tremendous difficulties. We have a beautiful motto stating being the best together, but where our duties are concerned, we are left in the dry by the officials. Speaker, I'm a workaholic, as you should know. I enjoy public meetings, but I'm at a stage now where I get very frantic when I get a poster that I need to report back to my community. You are not a stranger to, my area of jurisdiction. That you would know we're a stormwater upgrade project that's been stalled since 2022. There's open canals. When it rains, they flood up. And because there's no proper drainage, there's a stench, and especially around your Cuba and Angola area, your Usweli, where you find that even people around the area are sick as a result. but because they can't afford, to take us to court and all of that, they just disgruntled to actually even entertain us in public meetings because they feel they're living in squalor and we're not doing anything about it. And whenever we go to report backs, we always give them unreasonable timeframes, and there's never really a movement. Needless to say, when we inaugurated in 2021, we kept saying to our people they must be patient with us with regards to SWOT villages, because we're going to do a major upgrade. However, it will start from the bottom, working its way into one. I think that story now has ran dry. That too is a prevailing issue in my community. Something as basic as street lights. I keep doing exercises where I would take a manager in the user department and would do a drive through in the night just to identify these hotspots. Commitment is made, and then unfortunately we would lose that official, and then a handover will be done to the next, but none of that is actually implemented as we speak. 3 months ago, I received a call that there's an availability of a HIMARS light that I've been waiting for over 2 months, for over 2 years actually. To this day, there's not even a foundation to that, because you feel good when there's movement, that when you come to the communities and then you report to them, you can point to exactly that there's a bit of movement. None of that is actually happening. So I just feel, in as much as this is actually meant for noting, I feel we are expected to actually do our work to the best of our ability. However, we have our hands tied behind our backs. I urge the accounting officer through you, Speaker, that may this, the word again, it's loosely used in this institution, may consequence management not be a, cosmetic name that is actually thrown around, but may we see that people are put to task and they're expected to actually do what they mandated and paid. Because being the best together is a pipe dream, if that's the case. With that being said, I go with the recommendation.
Councillor Oliver.
Thank you, Speaker. Speaker, if you note the recommendations from the Portfolio Committee. Yeah, I did see Dave's name before mine, sorry. If you note those recommendations from the Portfolio Committee, that is what I want to support, because it's exactly that we were speaking to, as Councillor here was now saying. And I also want to note, as much as I am not happy with what I'm seeing in this report, I also want to note the Kranshoek Sport Field one. It was a project that was going to take longer, but if you see it now on the capital project, it's actually moved fast. And I do appreciate that. I must mention the good of what's happened there as well. So it's really completed, and it was a project that was supposed to be completed in next year. So I want us to know that, and with that, I will second this recommendation.
Councillor Swart.
Thank you, Speaker. Speaker, I was going to second it, but I think we must take note of that there's unrealized has been seconded already. But I just want to take note that of recommendation 2, that in the report it talks about inefficiencies and things that didn't happen, and we need to address it, because that speaks exactly to what the chairperson of the audit committee spoke about, is not getting things done on time, projects handled on time, risks at not spending a MIG funding. And even if it's not MIG funding, even if it's own funding we're using, it means the project's delayed and services aren't being delivered. So I think we need to take note of that as well. Thank you, Speaker.
Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you, Speaker. I know that there's been a proposal and I just want to speak to what Councilman Rabe has raised before I get to the recommendations from the executive mayor, because I see there's a difference between the two, and I'll explain why. Councillor Rabe is a very important point. I did message the ML yesterday to say to him, I expected an item on the report back of the stormwater issue. This comes. I was very disappointed when I did see that item contained in this agenda. I have met with the director previously, the feedback, and in a written response, that the contract is now officially been terminated. However, the timeframes that they suggested for us to actually go back and rectify what we want is between 6 to 12 months. So I then requested for the director, really look at your proposal. Come back and propose to us different strategies as to how we can really expedite this and take it seriously, because our water has really been affected by this since 2022. So through you, Speaker, I want to also put emphasis on that matter, and through you, MM, that we really, even if we have to organize a special council meeting, but councillors really need feedback on that situation urgently. And we're not just expecting feedback, we are expecting a process plan moving forward on how we're going to address these matters in all the affected areas. It must be contained in that report. We cannot just simply have an information that the contract has ended, so what after that. And with that, Speaker, let me go to the recommendations. I note that Councillor Olivier did recommend the recommendations from the strategic services portfolio. Let me draw your attention to recommendation number 2. It is similar to the recommendation from the portfolio. However, it says follow up. The second recommendation is a report back. Because in Mako, we felt following up is one issue. And then what happens after? So we need to report back as to why we are being told that the lapsing of the validity periods of the tenders affected. What actually happened there? And if consequence management need to be applied, it can only be applied once we get our report back to council. So I want to appeal to council to please accept recommendation number 2 from the Executive Mayor's Office.
Thank you very much. And I would like to say to the directors of engineering and community services, maybe when there are heavy rains, do not wait for a call from customer care. Send your guys for a drive-through, because you know the areas that are disaster areas. Like Councillor Mangaba has mentioned, KwaNokuthula is the Angola site, is the Cuba site, is the site there by Green Hill. It is not a joke. We are not exaggerating things, but when it is raining, people are swimming in the Mediterranean Sea, and it is not good. We are sitting comfortably in our warm houses, and people must be working outside to keep the water from coming into the houses. So I don't see any need that when it is raining, the directors can send the official and have a look what is happening around those areas.
I also did with the officials, please.
Let us all be on alert when it is raining, knowing that there are people who are living in disaster areas. On that side, moving to the next item.
Item C/5/1 zeros 170/10/24. Capital Projects Implementation Plan Monthly Progress Report for the period ending September 2024, page 463.
Item 7, Councillor Swart.
Thank you, Speaker. So we've had 3 reports in a row again from July to September. So this is the most recent one. That's why in the portfolio committee, we really left some of the recommendations in there. You will see the recommendations highlighted. Recommendation 2 and 3 talks to what we've been discussing. Expenditure of funding at this stage is noted with concern. And it be noted that the risks of non-spending, non-funding, and any other risks associated with delays must also be reported in future. So if we anticipate there are going to be delays, we need to know that action can be taken. So I propose we go with those 3 recommendations. It's the same recommendations that the mayor's made as well.
Sound fair?
I support the recommendation by the executive mayor.
Thank you. Moving to the next item.
C/5/171/10/24, progress report, proposed upgrading and extension of the Gansevallei wastewater treatment works, page 468.
Item is 7. Councillor Swart.
Speaker, can just get to the recommendations there. So again, as I said in one of the previous items, we're coming to noting of reports, which just means nothing usually gets done. So that's why we've added that second one, that the sludge in the current holding dams actually does get cleared out by season. I don't know what the status of that is because we haven't received an update on it. But if we want to ensure that at least we know that our water has been treated properly, and that we've got safe water leaving the plant, we need to at least ensure that that's done as a short-term solution. I don't know if the director can maybe give us any indication of what is happening and how far they are with that, but I'd like to propose that we go with those recommendations.
Thank you. Councillor Olivier.
I support that, and I would also like some information from the citizen. This is as they put forward.
Director.
Thank you, Speaker. Yeah, so the big critical part of this whole operation was actually the clarifier. So one clarifier went into their work. Need to get a contractor in to do the repair work. You've got the order number. I think the contractor's on site. Check. The clearing of the solid sludge, which is separated from the liquid component, which we treat and put out into the Bitou River. And the Goose Valley Golf Course uses some of it. And the actual sludge itself that's going to be removed as per our permit conditions that we're currently doing.
Thank you.
Thank you. Moving on to the next item.
Section 6, planning and development, C/6/15/09/24. To nominate and assign officials in order to constitute the Bitou Events Committee, page 478.
Councillor Mhlana.
Sorry, Chair, I'm not gonna speak on this, Madam Speaker. I just wanted to request that in the next council meeting, we get a report from electrical division.
Thank you, Councillor Mhlana. The item is still serving. Madam Mayor. Thank you.
Yes, I'm also seconding your proposal that to go with the recommendation. Yes.
Thank you.
Sorry. I don't see the recommendations of the portfolio committee there.
They are the second.
Recommended by the executive mayor.
That's it.
Where are the recommendations of the portfolio committee?
479, page 47.
Page 479, it goes. Yeah, here.
It's on page 480.
Now, I believe in those recommendations, we gave the guidelines for the municipal manager to be able to look at all those stakeholders. The law enforcement down to, because we need all those people to be involved in that committee. Thank you very much. I wanted it to be precise that all those stakeholders, I don't see. Yeah.
My support. In a bone on my end.
Engineering is not.
Is engineering there?
Communications is not, engineering is not, electricity.
Because really we need people who are going to put more emphasis on whatever that we are going to agree upon. Because at the end of the day, if there is an activity, it goes wrong, it's going to come back and haunt us as council.
MM? Can you do that?
Okay.
Engineering services.
Mr. Speaker, I'm covered in terms of as well as other stakeholders invited. That would include other stakeholders that were not necessarily identified in the item. As I implement the decision of council, and I would like to take into account other stakeholders who were not necessarily mentioned by name in the item. I take note of Councillor Kapai saying because events like the rage, you need engineering and confirm issues of the services and all of that, whether they're not going to be impacted. So, but I take note, and I think those other stakeholders that I mentioned will be considered.
Thank you.
I think let me emphasize that let's go with those recommendations up to the 5 of the executive mayor that a workshop be arranged with internal stakeholders on 2nd and 4th apart. So by the time we're taking into cognizance that we'll see which one that is needed as we're doing your workshop. So let's go with those.
Speaker, one more thing, Speaker. What we also raised is that we really use our resources. I'm going to be specific here when we talk about rage. We need to be specific because we use our resources. For instance, I'm talking about law enforcement that go up and down in the morning, at night. For that matter, I can say it's 24 hours around the clock. Yet we are doing it for external people. You will find out that if we've got an entertainment, whatever that is happening in New Horizon, Tula, wherever around, that particular company will get the services of a security company. But to that one, we use our law enforcement. And that is wrong. We can't use our resources for people who benefit. Because we don't benefit. It's them there that they are benefiting. I think we must look at that. It has been happening for so many years. And we are talking about what was said by the that is the internal audit here about the hours, more hours that are given to people, and yet we don't have that money. We can utilize our resources and finances for that.
Councillor Swart?
Thank you, Speaker. Maybe we can get some clarity from the directors, because as far as I'm aware, on site, they use their own security services. So maybe we can just get clarity from the director, whoever was involved in the event planning, on what arrangements are there for clarity for Councillor Kapai.
Acting Director Manara.
Our function is public research to provide security and also public safety to these guys that are in any event that is in our shores, be it in Kuala Lumpur, be it anywhere, the only place that we're not allowed to come is that property where there is anything outside perimeter. It is our responsibility. For us to increase numbers of patrols, we are doing it for the purpose of public safety, which is our function. Anything that happens to anyone that is in our shores becomes this council's responsibility. What have we done?
And what are we going to do in terms of providing the security and also to ensure that our visitors, it's not only about the rate, during the festive season. Also on this, it is our responsibility, this sport event or social event, to provide security outside the perimeter. Also in the range, I want to emphasize this. We are not in the range participating inside. Their venue is fully secure. And I must also say that there's also stakeholders and NGOs that are participating outside the perimeter in conjunction with South African policy. Yes, somewhere, somehow, in terms of ensuring that nothing is happening. And also I must state or emphasize this point. When the rate is in town, there's job opportunities that are created. And they are only bringing in people with expertise from outside. I'm talking from the security point of view. I'm talking from the cleaners and everyone that is benefiting. I'm not advocating for rage, but it is a reality. There are issues where we are also fighting in our board meetings about them when they want things for free. We are not in that business. They are rendering services, they are getting profit, we are sharing the same sentiment. But in terms of security, I want to state it again to emphasize it is our responsibility outside the perimeter and it's our shores. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Councillor Mangaba.
Thank you, Speaker. And from just what the director has alluded to, perhaps because I don't want to make the item about rage because it's not about rage. Otherwise, this council knows exactly the issues I have with rage. I feel it's a missed opportunity that could easily be actually ran by locals, but that's not the topic for now. I think from just what he's mentioned and what Councillor Tabai has alluded to, it is quite clear that there are missed opportunities that we as a municipality are not capitalizing on. But I must commend the portfolio the committee that actually sat with the item, because now that all of these role players are actually included. Going forward, when we table applications or events, because for instance with the rage, we received the application sometime in itself, if not much. These things are supposed to be considered, and I really am commending the team for having to have actually thought of including everyone from this user department, because ideally, in as much as it is our function to actually provide law enforcement, but in that same breath, we know last year the rate was actually at Jagastrad. In all honesty, I was there having fun because I was on recess, right? The security was actually in the confines of the tents and the barricades. People that were directing cabs coming in were our people. People that were there throughout the night and the morning were our staff. If there's a way that we can actually capitalize on that when we actually build these people at application level, by all means, that should be considered. Second to that, something that is never mentioned is the fact that because they are camping there, they have ablution facilities that are actually movable. That is not actually considered. That end of that season of rain, where is that sewer going? Straight into our into our facilities. I'm not sure if there's actually monies that are actually accounted for that, because most times when we speak about these events, we only speak about tourism and but in all honesty, they're robbing us because now they're no longer booking backpackers and hotels. They have a camp rock going on. You get tents there at the bottom, and they're movable facility. Which then at the end of the day, all we see is that the only form of employment that we see happening is them taking either promoters or or cleaners. Beyond that, I don't know of any benefits to the municipality. I repeat, they don't even buy booze or refreshments from here. The only form of benefit that I think a local would have is the fact that we have a supply of ice there. Beyond that, they bring their alcohols from Cape Town. So perhaps, in as much as it's not a discussion, because I'm going off on a tangent, they should be a discussion on its own in one day so that we sort that out. But beyond that, I still make mention from what the director has mentioned, it is clear that there's been missed opportunities where events are concerned. And now that there's this structure in place, I'm hoping to see a benefit to the municipality.
Thank you, Councillor Mangaba. Councillor Swart.
Thank you, Chair. I think what Councillor said now motivates very well for why we need a proper events committee that can consider everything, including the things you mentioned about the effluent and things like that. So I think that's a good motivation for proper events committee to consider all events.
Thank you. And
Propose and second the item.
I propose the item.
Propose and second.
Councillor Swart. Thank you. Moving to the next item.
/09/24, Ebenezer portion 25, first home finance. Page 5 to 9.
Item is 7. Councillor Mhlana.
Want to go with the recommendations, Speaker?
Thank you. Councillor Tablanche. Very much. Moving to the next item.
That was a please.
C/6/159/10/24, alienation of a portion of Earth 5342 Kwanakatula to allow the construction of temporary classrooms for Murray High, page 540.
Councillor Tapayin.
Thank you, Speaker. My inputs are deteriorating here in this council because it's hot.
Very hot.
It's very hot, and I don't know whether
No, they've not been functioning for a while. Don't worry, I'm open here, the window.
that's another challenge that we're having. Can be as legislators, we sit in a very warm council meeting. It goes back to officials again. We are the ones that are supposed to be fresh.
I'm so glad that you signed that council. They would have said, I am. I'm glad you understand.
Oh, you the menopause.
Yeah, you said. What are you gonna say? I was feeling
You've got health flashes.
Are you voting?
Speaker, again, I want administration officials to zoom to the recommendations of the portfolio committee. Yes, point number 3, we said as a portfolio committee that the approval of that land be granted for the donation of portion 5342 Kwanakatula. Why we took that stand, Speaker, is that for so many years that community has been fighting for the state-of-the-art high school. Now, when the Department of Education is saying we are here coming so as to build a high school, because it said on their part, they said they are eager to buy, but to the experience that we have seen, when the community fought with the department came with a few classrooms. They built a library there, a computer lab, but when they finished that building, there were no computers. the library was empty with no books. And the school had to go out and get donations and so on. Now we don't want that. And it was part of the IDP. In so many years that the community of Ward 5 and 6 said they need the state-of-the-art high school because it's the only high school that takes all these primary schools around Plettenberg Bay. Even from Tsitsikamma for that matter, we do have learners here. And Kransuk. So Speaker, we want that land to be donated to the department from government to government, but that money must be utilized for resources that are going to be a science lab that they are going to build. We need books in those libraries, in that library. We need computers that are going to be utilized by our children. And as you understand that we've got a problem of maths and science, especially in our communities, where we don't have access to those science labs, where we don't have access to those computers. So we are giving that land so as the community to benefit. It will benefit generations. It's not just going to benefit these now. All the learners that are coming, they will benefit in that school. That is why we said, as a municipality, we must donate to that school.
Can you
speak?
Executive, Madam Mayor? Councillor Mangaba?
Thank you, Madam Speaker. And thank you kindly, Madam Mayor. I need to remind this council that 2 years ago, we met with the department and we spoke about the plight of a village. Because in as much as the item says this belongs to Ward 6, however, it belongs to the entire community of Bitou. And then in principle, we all agreed that this has been coming for long, and it is a legacy that we are all going to be proud of. I must remind this council that Mare High just this year has 2013 learners. That is twice the capacity of that school. While we appreciate the means that were provided by the municipality when we came here and actually we plotted around how can we best assist, the situation is still tight. And as from applications that are received, they are projecting that by next year, there'll be 2,100 learners that racing. Now we know what happens with our department. They will come this year and procure land. They will return 5 years later to actually sort our communities out. And we would not want that to actually be the case because it would impede the growth that we are hoping to see with our kids. We know at the moment in the municipality, we have issue with scarce skills that could easily be actually mitigated by this plan when we actually have a state-of-the-art school that actually has facilities that will actually speak to us motivating these kids to actually study courses that will come and be beneficial to the municipality. So in principle, we had agreed with the department when we did a walkabout 2 years ago that land opposite Maria High will be donated to them at conditions. I commend again, the committee that actually sat with the item, because there's consideration and a sense of commitment that we are expecting from the department that a registration and augmentations be done by them. There's a sense of responsibility there. I sit in the Quality Education Committee in the Southern Bay region, and the issue of Maria High was flagged as a matter that requires urgent attention. And I urge that this council consider a decision that we actually had promised 2 years ago to the department that the land will actually be donated for the better good of our communities. With that being said, I support the recommendations.
Thank you very much. Madam Mayor?
Thank you, Speaker. I wanted to draw attention between the difference in the wording, the recommendations from the executive mayor and the portfolio. Let me firstly say we all share the same sentiments. We are in agreement that we want this there to be exchange between the different organs of state. We are in agreement that we want that amount that they are going to save to be offset, to be spent within the municipality education. We had a lengthy discussion in Bitou regarding the same issues that you are raising. Also, obviously, the capacity of Marehai and why it actually contributes, what actually contributes to that. We even had a discussion on the issues of Ward 3, Ward 1, Ward 7, you know, all of those, and how it actually also affects, you know, the capacity issues at Marehai. So we are acknowledging the challenge in terms of our education in Bitou. Although it's not a core mandate, we are in agreement that we need to build a working relationship with the Department of Education, and we need to look at ways that we can assist. Now, I understand where the concern comes from, because in your portfolio, the word donation was worded, and in the Mako meeting, now we're speaking of nominal value. So what I want to speak was your permission is the advice that we got in the Mako, why we use the term nominal value can be explained to the councillors so that we can also understand the difference in the wording and as to why. Thank you, Speaker.
Thank you very much. CFO?
Speaker, on the spot, you put me now. This nominal value is the smallest denomination of a dollar, which would mean the 10 rand.
Come again, CFO?
No value 10.
No value.
Could mean a 10 rand.
It's the smallest denomination of money that you can fold. It's a 10 rand.
Okay.
It's a nominal value. It's just to attach a value to the transaction.
Yeah.
But Speaker, I raised the matter because we have to look at this thing. We're dealing with government to government here. That raise, we must not take a decision, and when we implement it, which process is gonna. MFMA, we must attach the value to the field property. So if we attach the value of the valuation, and then we can say we attach the value of the valuation, then we donate that value as per the valuation. Or we simply use nominal value. Nominal value could be 10 rand. I thought it could also be 1 rand, but that we can check. So that's the only thing that the municipal manager will decide. Land is given for 1 rand if it's 1 rand, but either of the two, we just wanted to be sure that one that we follow does not have other hiccups anymore to delay.
Thank you, Councillor Manqaba.
Thank you, Speaker. With the information that is actually shared by the accounting officer as well as the acting CFO, I think it would advise us as council to also revisit an item that we donated land to. If you still remember, over a year ago, we donated 2.6 hectares of land opposite the Simunye Center to the SEPs. So I need us to revisit that so that if there needs to be a rescindment or a change or whatever the wording is, that's done to not retard the process of that police station and holding and officers coming about.
Thank you very much. The item was proposed and seconded by Councillor Manqaba and the executive mayor. Am I correct?
I was proposing with the.
That's what I propose. Okay.
Yes.
Thank you very much for reminding.
Go with the executive, no?
Yeah.
No, I understand the nominal value.
Bye.
All right.
And we will hold them as such that they are going to sell that land at R1 or 10 rand. Because it's for the benefit of the community. We are not going to benefit.
Sorry, the speaker, just Tanya, the eyes are on the right time. But I think I would request that because I need to send a letter to the Department of Education in implementing this decision. There's one part that I think is not captured that we must ask them. Look, I did say in the portfolio, we cannot dictate to them, it's their budget. I think we must put it that we request that the money that they were willing to use to purchase the land in terms of our bill, they must offset it for the use in the school. So that's just that piece must be captured correctly so that when I send the letter, it's in the recommendation of that.
Clarity.
Yes. Councillor Naba?
The value of registration as well as occupation is supposed to be contained here or in the building plans. Value of as well as registration must be contained in these recommendations or when they submit building plans.
It's for the transfer.
No, yeah, we just, no, it does not have to be contained in this because it's given that they must pay for the transfer of the land, the buyer. Yeah, the buyer must always pay for the transfer of the land.
No, I just needed clarity on that so that we don't sit with the situation in building plans that is overlooked as though there was a previous item that spoke to it, and then later on we are forced to actually do the actual expansion of services on their behalf.
Noted.
Thank you. Have you captured it, Tanya?
We've put in the fourth recommendation, Madam Chair.
Sorry, Speaker. Let me, as the chief whip, my councillor said it just whispered to me that there is something urgent she needs to rush to.
All right.
So unfortunate that she didn't address it to you.
Thank you.
Yeah, on behalf of her.
Thank you, Councillor Kabane. Moving now to the next item.
C/6/160/10/24, Coming Together Urban Integration Project, Urban 2096 and 2856, page 548.
Item is 7.
It comes to, yes, I got it.
Again, go to the committee's recommendations.
Yes,
Can see that one or my yeah, recommendation number 5. We really, Speaker, we dealt extensively in this item. We discussed it, and really we've got a problem in this council. We're talking about coming together project. Coming together is a very big word. It's integration for that matter. Let's put it that way. We don't do integration yet. Just recently, we're talking about the project of Shell. Our people are not benefiting in that project. It's exorbitant funds. If you want a house or a flat here, there. You must go to ABSA, Nedbank, Standard Bank. And yet we've got officials here in this municipality that are taking RDP houses of poor people. That poor person doesn't have 30,000 or 50,000. An official here will give that poor person 50,000 cash. And yet again, that person doesn't have a house. He goes and put a check there again. We've got that challenge. We don't do integration, and those houses or flats that are going to be built there, it's only the affording people that are going to benefit. I can vouch, there is no one official that is at management level going down that is going to benefit at Shell. Now, when officials are really, because we are not a private sector, we must afford, especially houses, decent houses for our people when we are government. We can't sell those houses at market rated value. That means we are kicking them out again. Where are they going to? At least we must give them an effort, because really to me it is transformation. Bitou municipality, Plettenberg Bay will then really be transformed. That the races, all races are living together. I think that number 5 is really addressing that. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I go with the recommendations.
Thank you very much.
Portfolio committee. I didn't see the recommendation of the executive mayor.
It is there. And Saturday, Councillor Papa,
I don't. It's not there. It's not there. The executive mayor is not supporting the recommendations of the executive mayor.
Councillor Deputy Mayor.
Thank you, Speaker. I become the part of the recommendation of the committee. I also take as it is to the part of the MACO. If we notice there on bullet 5, it said that legal services give a brief opinion to those 3 items that we've discussed in the portfolio. When we went to MACO, those opinions were addressed. 1, giving preference, it says it's according to the FMD. I would love, if you don't mind, Mr. Crouch, again, maybe to put those answers, those opinions, if it's possible. Do you have them?
And second.
Yeah, because we've asked them to give us illegal opinion based on that. And when we went to MACO, I want to express it here. Whatever we do, we don't want to transgress any legislations, because the municipalities, local government is governed by legislations. So all those things were addressed, those items that are there, because even from the portfolio, we're saying we need to get an advice on these things. But according to us, we would have to see things happening like that. The thing of the market value, it was discussed that there's nothing that can be sold without a market value, because that's what is prescribed in the Municipal Financial Management Act. Again, whether occupants who opt to purchase the property will be afforded an opportunity to pay installments. The municipal local government is not allowed to give loans, because if we say we're doing installments, we are allowing a financial transaction between a person and the municipality as if we're doing loans. According to MFA, we're not allowed to do that. Giving preference to the current occupants' properties again. we are limiting the fact that we're talking about disposal of the public entity, because local government, all that we're having is public thing. How do we dispose a public asset? So if immediately we're fencing it like that, it becomes against that. So all those things we take consider of them. Hence, now we're having this kind.
Thank you. MM?
For Ed, I think Alan must start because the legal opinion was requested and he has provided legal opinion, but there's two things I wanted to add on that. I think less than a minute on my side.
Legal manager?
I've provided opinion. My opinion is offered on the basis of the question as it was put. I mentioned that the position, the statutory position, is what legislation is applicable. And let me just go giving preference in terms of section 14.5 of the MFMA. Transfer of ownership must be fair, equitable, transparent, competitive, and consistent with its disposal management system. That's section 14.5 of the MFMA. It can only be achieved through an open, competitive, and transparent selling process, and preference cannot be given to current occupants without having the effect of unfairly including the possible participation of others in the bidding process. That's the first question. Second question was whether the property can be disposed of to the current occupiers for less than the market rated value. And then again, in terms of section 14.2b of the MFMA, a municipality may transfer ownership or otherwise dispose of a capital asset after the municipal council in a meeting open to the public has considered the fair market value of the asset. And again, regulation 1 of the municipal asset transfer regulation defines fair market value as a value at which a knowledgeable willing buyer would buy and a knowledgeable seller would sell the capital asset in an arm's length transaction. This then implies that the property can only dispose of at the predetermined fair market value and not at a lesser price. Question 3, the occupants who opt to purchase a property will be afforded the opportunity to pay in installment in a determined time frame. Section 164(1)(c) of the MFMA. No municipality or municipal entity may make loans to councillors, officials of the municipality, or members of the public. And if that came into operation on 1 July 2004, and National Treasury issued an MFMA circular to give guidance and assist municipalities in legally interpreting the said section, and it advised in that circular that that amounted to there's a prohibition on such transactions, and they also say that if you use a staggered payment system, the municipality to move up a little bit, we're acting as a financial institution. And in terms of the circular, those arrangements are in the view of NT loan agreement, which from 1 July is contract section 164(1)(c) of the MFMA, and they call it in essence a prohibited loan.
But what they're also trying to achieve is unfortunately overtaken by time. And I made an example that MFMA kicked in. I think some of us mentioned myself, we benefited in this in 2001, 2002, because council gave us those properties at 10,000, 20,000 because we were municipal officials. But once that thing kicked the whole country, somebody picked it up at National Treasury and regulated that process. One thing I just want to explain so that maybe there's no confusion. Market value does not necessarily mean our valuation value. Market value will be determined at the time of tendering. If our valuation says the property is 2 million, but the people who are bidding, they submit 800,000 as the highest, that is a market value. That is what is determined by the market.
There's nothing else that you can do because you have tested the market. That is what the market, in terms of the willing buyer, is prepared to buy at that time. So we have to unfortunately go through that process and determine. Last time I've checked all of these houses, the values that have come were actually far lower than the valuation. And I think we've missed an opportunity. If I make an example, these two flats on top of Checkers, they're at 1.7, 1.8, but there was a highest bid of 800,000. We missed an opportunity at that time to actually give it in terms of the intention that we wanted to do. We should have, for those staff members, I think there was a confusion. Other staff members did not bid because somewhere they were told that they are what you call working in the state. There's nothing stopping them. They will just declare that they are working for the municipality. There's nothing stopping them in terms of bidding for this process. So unfortunately, the legal opinion is correct. It cannot be done that way. So it has to go through the process. We cannot ring-fence it for only those staff members. Once you ring-fence for only those staff members of the municipality, it creates a problem in terms of your backyard plus that you have not given them an opportunity because they would have actually also wanted to bid, and some of them would argue that they are renting 5,000 or 4,000 backyard villas, and at this value they could have afforded to buy the property. I think what needs to be done in the specifications, we need to guide this thing in terms of either first-time buyers or second-time buyers, so that we don't look at award to people who intend to buy and speculate by these properties. Because I have money, I buy all of them in order to resell them at a much higher value. That's what the specifications must actually try and guide. Thanks, Chairperson.
Thank you very much. Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Speaker. Thank you, Deputy, for giving us the introduction with what we discussed. And then I comment, I think we've added the extra recommendation, number 5. All the report previously identified or earmarked as restructuring zones, zone properties, we tabled at the next meeting, November 2024, specifically in an attempt to fast track some of our planning processes and decisions around the if there's proposed.
Thank you. Councillor Teplan?
Okay, no, it's fine, it's fine. I will write a letter.
All right, no problem.
No, Speaker, if you mind, President, 1 minute to explain. Was that recommendation number 5 is very important. But this thing is coming a long way, and council actually have already resolved, that whole area form part of the restructuring zone, and whether that decision then of that time is still valid. That's why I wanted you to give President, but that full report is going to come in anyway to council, but just for him to explain in 1 minute. But it's not only that land, there's a lot of land that of the municipality that were given for restructuring purposes, but nothing has happened. So we need to get that, and so that we take an informed decision. How do we deal with that going forward? If you don't mind, Speaker, I was asking for.
Mr. Maggie.
Thank you, Speaker. Afternoon, everyone. In terms of the restructuring zones, we've got a number of areas that have been identified, and so item that served, if I'm not mistaken, around 20, where we have identified, including the 2096 R2096. The restructuring zones are talking to areas that we identify for social housing projects. Social housing projects, it's talking to rentals, where we can consider that area for rentals. So that's what we were talking about when we're talking about the restructuring zones. And the unfortunate part of it is that the restructuring zones are also gazetted. So whatever the municipality is identifying and including that portion of land as a restructuring zone, that information is taken and sent through to Minister of Human Settlements so that they can be gazetted. So there is budgets that the national government that they are working through HDA have with regards to restructuring zones. I can also just confirm that we've already started the item that is recommendation number 5 is talking to. And I suppose that the directors have already received that item for their comments because we have now identified areas which we are saying they are more feasible and they are realistic for us to be implementing these kind of projects, which are restructuring zones related projects. Thanks. Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Markin. Mr. Mangaba? Councillor Mangaba?
Thank you. Thank you, Speaker. I think I'm going to need the indulgence of the legal services manager as well as the accounting office where this is concerned. Because in as much as the recommendations are as they stand, I would rather this item and what's to come of it benefit our community, which is our people. Now, is there a way that we could actually add another specification in the specifications that people that will be considered are those with an existing address of the immediate area and who've lived at the address for a specific period of time? Because my worry is we sit in council and we consider every group that is actually not considered art or say a first home ownership. But then again, when we roll out an opportunity that would actually best serve that missed or that missing gap, then we get people who are actually coming from outside the ambit of Bitou bidding because they have deeper pockets. And then we sit with a situation where the very same people that were supposed to be benefiting of this are not benefiting of it.
As far as otherwise, we to influence the specifications.
Okay. Can we now move to item?
Please, through.
Okay, it was proposed and seconded. Can move.
3/6/161/10/24. Identification of municipal owned land for development purposes, page 557.
Item is 7. Deputy Mayor.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I would say that let's go with the recommendation of the executive mayor, because it goes exactly with the one of the committee. And I would say that we have to deliberate on these issues before Mayor can say that she puts her necks on the block for. So this one, fortunately, it's just like the other one that we changed. It was the years that we will give if only people must not be allowed for 5 years to leave it as an open site. Because at that same time, if we leave it for 5 years before people they start to develop, it's the same that we are losing rents and taxes. And the main thing is for us to be developed. Hence, we take it saying, let's give these people for a space of 2 years so that we start to in those properties so that they can steal those properties, can be of benefit to our product.
Councillor Tablanche.
Yes, Madam Speaker. On the other side, we just wanting to ask if they can then include also, because at Ebenezer, there's also some properties there. 1, 2, 3, if you can also include that here.
MS?
Chair, at this point, I would not know which area are those, but I would accept from the councillor that we should bring that item specifically for those here the next meeting.
Yes, because currently, as things now stand, it's becoming a real problem for council And I think the director can also explain, because it's a heavy burden on the municipality currently as things stands now, because there's no future plans to assist in terms of electricity, water, etc. So if you look at it in that fashion, that this, and it can also be that include, unless we can say we're gonna plan better for the specific area in terms of water and electricity, then it can be excluded. But at this moment in the current rate is going on, it'd be best that you include this as well.
Mr. Maggie?
Thanks, Speaker, once again. I think what the councillor is referring to is the existing structures that we have in Ebenezer. You would remember that I have said that I will also submit an item to council, which is going to incorporate all of those structures into the new phase that we have within Ebenezer.
Councillor Stuart?
Thank you, Speaker. Speaker, at this stage, we're not going to be able to add anything to this item unless we refer it back. So I think bearing in mind what Councillor de Blanche said, let's look at those properties and bring it together as another council item if it's decided that the municipality does want to alienate those. So I'll second the.
Thank you. Councillor Mangaba?
On the resolutions that were actually taken council that are actually still pending, the very first part of the agenda. It does speak to an audit, land audit that will actually be brought to council. I now suggest when we are assisting Councillor Terry Blanche with the land in Ebenezer, then we also consider lands in all these other areas, so that we are able to actually use a uniform approach in actually dealing with that. Because at the moment, Director Planning would tell you his office is inundated with applications of pieces of land that would date as far back as 98. And you'll be told that it was apparently belonging to so-and-so. However, a purchase was never done, and. So it's all these things that now it would actually greatly assist that we don't actually get to sit with those unsolicited applications when that is actually done right and made open for everyone to actually apply for. So in as much as our comments are actually not going on this on these recommendations, but I recommend that part of the audit encompass that so that we are able to actually get the ball rolling.
Director?
Thanks, Speaker, once again. I just want to advise council that not to confuse this item with the item that we're saying that we're still going to. So this one is talking to vacant land. And what councillor was talking to, it's land that is already developed. So we're going to incorporate those structures, the existing structures. So these are two different items. One is talking to vacant land, and this is more business related land that we're saying we need to dispose of. So the item is going to be totally different to this.
Thank you very much.
It's supported, document, and it was supported.
We are going now to, we are done now with reports. We are moving back to our agenda. It's item number 11. Urgent matters submitted by the municipal manager. We have received none. Consideration of notice of motion, none. Consideration of notices of question, none. Consideration of motions of exigency, none. Item number 15, it will be the in-committee matters, which we will take now a break of 15 minutes to allow the public. Then we are coming back as councillors in 15 minutes time for the in-committee.
Raising a hand, remind that we were here since 9. In the next 15 minutes, we'll be here for 4 hours. The accounting officer must do the right thing.
Thank you very much. Supported Councillor Mangaba. You are hungry. It's 1:45. So we're coming back late 10 o'clock. Yeah? Oh, okay. So we look at one.
Service specification.
And where's the? Oh, okay. Yeah. Yeah, but we are recognized. Release. Watermarking everything. Watermarking.
Okay. So, professional.